About Ghani, everyone. This is Professor Rahh, Professor Emeritus, California State University of Long Beach, former city councilman for the city of Compton, former Compton College Board of Trustees, and former Compton Unified School District Board of Trustees. And along with my co-host, Joe Hembrick, longtime educator and administrator for the Linwood Unified School District and Compton Unified School District, the first head African-American coach for Linwood Unified football coach for the Linwood Unified School District, and at the same time a strong historian. We call him Historian Joe for his relentless study on our ancient history and our ancient spirituality. So we want to thank Brother Rashid Maskani, longtime community servant and activist, and who provide us this platform to present Conscious Corner, as well as Brother Mshinda out of Louisiana, longtime community activist and administrator, worker for the youth and other individuals in the social science area. And we thank them for coming to the show tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a serious discussion about Fani Willis and her hearing, and what did they think about her from the standpoint of her situation with Mr. Attorney Wade, who they had an affair with, and that the judge is considering taking her off the case. So we want to know, just if anybody watched it. So, Mshinda, did you get a chance to watch the hearing?
Yeah, I saw a lot of it.
Yeah, what did you think about the testimony and the hearing at first, and then Fani Willis' testimony?
Well, the hearing itself, I noticed that, all the lawyers were present, that the ones that can afford an attorney. You had Trump's attorney, you had Giuliani's attorney, and there was several others that were there representing the people that has been indicted by the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis. Mm-hmm. So everybody has their interests in this case. Of course, like anything else, if you ain't got all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, there's always going to be witch hunts and attacks on, or people trying to get out of whatever they're being accused of. So in this case, the people with the money, and of course Fulton County got a lot of money, so but Trump and his crew and Giuliani and their crew, they're there trying to get her disqualified, due to, a relationship that she admitted having with Nathan Wade, who is a special prosecutor on the case. So I think it's a timing issue, and it's not good for optics with any time of the situation where, people have a right to have relationships, meet people and have relationships, but the timing is bad, so I think you open yourself up for attacks when, you hire somebody to work on the case, but you also have a relationship with them. So it's just, so they're saying it's, foul play, it's an impropriety and all that kind of stuff. So, but at the end of the day, it was kind of a, it was more like a scavenger hunt. They asking her about her personal business and when did she meet him and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, I think she held her ground pretty well. You got a lot of pundits out there, the ones that are conservative. Oh, she's ghetto, she's this and that. No, she is who she is, and I think some of the language she used, she was kind of, trying to be hip, as people say. No, she's a lawyer at the same time. She's not Fulton County DA for nothing. So she's strategic with what she's doing and who she is, and she understands the constituency around her. So how she presented herself. They didn't want her to testify. The attorney Cross, the white woman who actually works for her, was actually trying to defend her, and she was trying to keep her from taking the stand. But Fani Willis said, no, 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 we ain't got nothing to hide. Let me up there. I can tell my own story. And she got up there. And I think that she just showed, you know, a strong black woman, not letting these white men and women, uh, you know, try to, just tear her apart, make these accusations about her. Now, personally, I don't know what she did. Um, I might not agree with all her politics and what she does. I've never really been a big fan of DAs, for my own personal reasons. But at the end of the day, it was beyond that. It becomes a race card and other things where you see these white men, old white men, and trying to attack this black woman, trying to discredit her, like they've done a lot of people over the years. But so I'm just proud of the fact that she just kept her head up, no matter what she believes in and what her politics is, whatever. I'm glad she just stood her ground. Now, whatever happens, that's a whole nother thing, because the legal system can be tricky. But so just my opinion over. I think that I'm glad that she looked him in the eye and spoke her truth and didn't bow down to him. Now it'll all come out in the wash one way or the other, true or false. What's going to happen to her, I can't call it, but that's my take on it for right now. I mean, of course, she admitted to having an affair with the guy. They had a relationship, but after she was DA, not before. So they're trying to put the timeline, back in early 2021 and 2020 and 2019, like as if they were having this relationship. And so there's a money exchange, and she's explaining that, hey, I got cash in my. So she's a lawyer, so she knows she's a DA. So she's like, hey, wait a minute, it's no law saying that I can't have $1,000 in my house, and I don't have to pay people with a credit card, reimbursing him for trips they went on and things like that. But from the optics of it, don't look good though, because the human mind and society and different things, people form opinions. Oh, well, she probably did this. Who does that? Who keeps a lot of money on them, and she's lying or whatever. So people choose sides, but I'm not going to choose a side. I'm just going to say that I'm glad that she stuck to her guns and she looked them in the eye, and wherever the chips fall, they fall.
Brother Joe, did you watch it?
Very little of it. It was brought to my attention by one of my mentors. He was looking at it. So I zoomed in and looked at it when they had Wade on the stand, and they were trying to pinpoint him about the relationship when it started and all that, and then about the money and all that. I saw the sister on the news thing defending herself. I think that whenever you're involved in that kind of stuff, you can't show a conflict of interest. And I think that's what they're going to use to boot her off. However, the things fall out, I know you can't have really a conflict of interest and stuff like that is going on. I associate that with nepotism, stuff like that. But when you're in the court system, which I'm not a lawyer, I thought about it at one time, but it seemed like to me that's where they're gonna nab her at as far as getting her off the whole Trump thing. She was throwing that out there while she was on the stand about who really ought to be, about stealing the election and paying off of this woman. I forget her name, the white woman Trump paid off. That's silent, but from all I know about law, conflict of interest, you can't have it in the courtroom. So I think that's where they're going to get her right there. Although I haven't been keeping up on all the cases, the whole aspects of the case, but I know that's something that you can't have And it's speculative of when it started and all of that, but still, if any propriety of conflict of interest, kind of got to disqualify yourself, I believe. But anyway, that's just my take on it.
Okay, brother Rashaki, did you watch it?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I just saw a few news clips. And anytime you're going after somebody, especially the people that's part of the system, and when they're running things, they're gonna look anywhere they can look to try to discredit you when you're attacking them, or not really attacking them, but accusing them of doing some things, and they could be guilty. They're gonna look for ways to get back at you, and I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to overturn anything they can to make her, like Brother Mshinda was saying, and Brother Hembrick, try to discredit her. So yeah, that's the system we live in.
Well, appreciate what everybody said, if I understand them correctly, and I agree with what everybody said, but I just want to add three major points before I get into my understanding of what went down. First of all, the relationship is not what they're really concerned about from the standpoint of disqualifying her. What they're saying is that she benefited economically from Brother Wade from him taking her on lavish trips, and that he was paid $600,000, and that they were going on rendezvous trips to Belize, to a number of exotic places, even California, to the wine place, and they're saying that that amounted to her benefiting, and it wasn't really about the relationship. The problem with the relationship, as Mshinda pointed out, was the timing, because they turned in an affidavit, both of them, that the relationship didn't start until after he was appointed. And that's very crucial, because they would not get in trouble from the standpoint of a conflict of interest, but they would get in trouble for filing a false document with the court that could lead to their disbarment, as well as getting kicked off the case. And that's one entity. The money thing is a problem for the accusers, who are called the defendants, and they are called the state, Fani Willis, them. And their problems is that she said she reimbursed him with cash, and they're upset because there's no record from that she left a paper trail, either through ATMs, Cash App, checks, witnesses that saw her pay the money back. But that goes two ways. One, that they can't prove she didn't. So they challenged and made it look like it was difficult for people to keep money in that kind of cash. But before I even get into that part, we know that the European, as Rashaki so eloquently pointed out, and Brother Joe, as well as Mshinda, the white man have no business putting nobody on trial. The only person he should put on trial is himself, because everything about him is corrupt. May it be Democrat, Republican, they both ran by majority whites, and they both are corrupt. Trump is, and the conservative movement is corrupt from the standpoint of blocking legislation and trying to overthrow an election, and doing all kind of other things as a party. And Democrats are just as corrupt while participating in the genocide of the Palestinians. And as Malcolm said, there's no Democrat, none but a Dixiecrat from the standpoint of the South. If I'm not mistaken, George Wallace was a Democrat. Alabama during the segregation days. So we look at that one point, but getting back to the point, getting back to Fani, as one of her friends that she leased the house from, a condo, but was fired from her office. Excuse me, was about to be fired. So they let her resign. She testified that she thought the relationship started before, well, in 2019, excuse me, 2019, because she said she saw that Bonnie told her that. Bonnie told her that. And she saw them kissing and hugging. So they asked her, when did she say it to her? She couldn't remember. And she said, when did she see him? She said, where did she see him? She said, she couldn't remember that either. So that may make her testimony a little shaky. Then the other person is former law partner with Wade. And he was reluctant to testify because he was also Wade's, well, I don't know what's wrong with my brother. Wade's divorce attorney. And being a divorce attorney, they had attorney privilege. Attorney privilege mean that he couldn't testify to things that him and Wade talked about. So he refused to talk about it because he said the bar told him he couldn't talk about it. So the judge, they dismissed him, but they brought him back and said that they wanted to talk about things that wasn't covered by attorney privileges. So the judge supposed to say, well, look, just talk to me in my chambers and tell me what you know. So they went in his chambers and they haven't said what he said yet, if he said anything. But they also, Fani Wilson office attacked that attorney Bradley, saying that he was up on sexual harassment or something, trying to, and that's one of the reasons that he broke out of the firm with Wade. They cut him loose. So they're trying to act like he had a bone to pick with him. But, so that's where it's at, and the judge hasn't made a decision. But two key things happened during that process. And the two things that happened were what I thought was strong was, like Mshinda said, she came in, she was watching or listening to the Wade's testimony, and he was trying to be smooth, and well, he was smooth and vase and bouze, but he was saying things, she gave me cash back and this and that and this and that and smooth, and but he maintained that the relationship started in 2021 after he was appointed. So they were checking his credibility as being a prosecutor because he'd never been a prosecutor. He'd been a judge, and he's been working in various civil issues and things of that nature. So they tried to act like she hired him for the purposes of getting money, and rather than to be a real head prosecutor, because he never prosecuted RICO cases. So then after all that wrangling, and they called a couple of other witnesses that didn't really have anything to say about seeing money being exchanged or anything like that. But then they called, well, Fani Willis was watching on TV Wade's testimony, I guess. She was not, I don't know, anyway. She came into the courtroom. She left her office and she said she ran over there, and they had already filed, her office had already filed, that was defending her, that she was not going to testify. They had already filed that, you know, it was unnecessary and put in a motion for her not to testify. And so she came in and said, yeah, I'm going to testify. And they looked at her and said, you know, no. And she said, yeah, I'm getting on the stand. She got on the stand. And for the most part, she said that, you know, they were, I mean, she was very bodacious, very strong from the standpoint of an Afrocentric perspective. From white perspective, she was a mad white woman, a mad black woman, that image of that, you know, black women get angry too much. Angry black woman. Even Tyler Perry made a movie about that. And so the point is that she was very strong. And as Mshinda said, she talked power to power. She denied all of them, called them a bunch of lies, said, I'm not on trial, y'all on trial. And I don't care how much you put me on trial. She said, I saved money. My daddy taught me that. And say at least 6 months. And I never saved that much, but I did keep a lot of cash around. They said, well, where did you keep? She said, wherever I laid my head, I had cash. And that's the way it was. Now, I want you to understand, most people are told to keep emergency cash. You know, I mean, a lot of black people don't, but a lot of black people do. They used to keep their money in coffee cans rather than banks, because banks, you know, were discriminatory. And there had been a history of, you know, problems with banks when it comes to black people, from the standpoint of the loans and from the standpoint of just their treatment in banks. So they have a long history in the South, from the South and other places, of just, you know, holding on to their cash. I know I keep my cash in my pocket. Most of it, you know, I leave a little bit in the bank, but I got to have cash on me, you know, and the same thing that a lot of other people do for emergencies, and for the standpoint that, hey, look, you know, I ain't paying them high interest on credit cards. I ain't paying you know, I'm not going through all that mess, you know, travelers checks and all that. So people can have their own view of that, but the point is that there's a history of Black and Latino. Latinos, they when they get ready to buy a house, they don't even have to tell you where they got their cash from. But when we get ready to buy a house, we have to prove that we didn't borrow it, or that we got to tell them the source of the down payment whenever we get ready to buy a house. But certain groups, they don't ask that because they have a tradition of keeping cash around. But some blacks do keep cash around. Not all of them, but those that can do. And that's not unusual. But at the same time, they say it's unusual for a DA to reimburse somebody and don't leave a paper trail. And what Fani said, well, look, it was personal between me and him. So I didn't think I had to leave a paper trail. You understand? He's a very honest man. He's a good man, but I'm an independent woman. And you know, a man is not something, but he's just a plan. He's not someone that I want to take care of me or anything like that. So she was very strong, and most Black women loved it. They loved her spiciness. They loved her strength. They loved her speaking truth to power. They loved her speaking truth to the judge, and just over talking them when they tried to ask her questions. She gave her explanation. She said all these things are lies, intrusion into families and things of this nature. And so she dealt with that strong. Now, the icing on the cake was her father, who came and testified on her behalf, John Floyd. And he was just amazing. This brother he lived in Oakland. And one time he was a member of the Panthers in California, in Los Angeles. And he was very black conscious. He said, I thought I was going to retire in South Africa, but they wouldn't give me a visa for his role in helping Mandela get out. And so he came back. He's been defending a lot of black people. I mean, he was just strong. And he said, yeah, I tell my daughter to keep cash. And I also told her to move out the house. Because that girl that testified that got fired, Fani, leased her condo. That's how they were friends at one time. She said they ain't friends no more. But at the same time, she leased it because the girl was getting married and she wanted to get rid of it. And she was looking for a safe place to move out of her house because she got so many threats. And the father said that too. And they said, well, why did you stay there if it was so dangerous? He said, somebody had to stay here and watch over the house. He said, I got lights up, I got moving lights, and you could check how many times the police had came out to the house to deal with getting people who were parked down the street for hours or parked or coming around demonstrating and harassing. And you can check that record out. That I called the police. She wasn't even there. So that sort of boosted her position. Now, most pundits say that, many pundits now say that they don't feel that the Trump team Trump team met the Georgia law requirement that she has a conflict of interest. They think she can beat that. Their only concerns, some of them, are three things. One, that she may have been may have a challenge with regards to when their relationship started. Oh, the other thing is that a white judge testified that Fani Willis went to him first before she even talked to Wade to be the head prosecutor in this case, and he wouldn't take it for fear of all the problems it would cause with regards to threats and things of this nature. He was very strong, and he's he just was very strong in that standpoint. Fani's father was real strong. I mean, when he testified, he just blew him out the water with regards to, hey, look, I was in Boston once and I tried to use a credit card. They wouldn't accept it for a $10 meal. I'm $9 meal. And I'm so happy I had $10 in my pocket. And I said, for now on, I'm going to keep cash. And I told my daughter, keep 6 months worth of cash in your house. Because, and you never know when you may have to pay your way. And that's true, because most people say the two things that's a medium of exchange in case of an extreme emergency, where you can't get to banks and things of this nature, is cash and gold and diamonds. You can trade them for different things, barter them for different things. And so that's where we at with regards to this case. But and as Fani said for that, and I agree with that everybody's talking all that stuff, but this is about race. When you remember Christopher Darden and the white girl was having a relationship while they was trying O.J. Simpson. They talking about they were studying that night to present the next day, and they were sleeping with each other. They say it's not uncommon for attorneys who work in the same firm to start dating each other, romantic. The other thing is that on the Trump team, there's a couple of attorneys that are dating people in their firms that are working on with other defendants in the case. And there's one firm that both the wife and the husband is representing different defendants in the case, and they're married and they have the same firm. So they didn't bring all that up. And that's what Fani was trying to say. Hey, look, there are people on this side they're married and they have a firm together, and each one is representing one of the defendants. And you're supposed to be for your own defendants. So you ain't saying they had conflict of interest. And she just rolled on relationships, excuse me, with the attorneys that's on Trump's side, and talked about all them that are dating each other. And so that throws the dating thing out, except for the timing, as Mshinda said. And so we were waiting for the judge to make the decision. He had interviewed Bradley in his chamber, who was the law partner that represented Wade in the divorce, and that he claimed that it was an attorney-client privilege, that they don't talk about anything that they talked about. And Wade never waived the privilege, so he checked with the bar, and the bar told him, the bar told him not to say anything about Wade, because he could lose his bar, his license, if he violated attorney privileges. But the judge and Trump people say there's some things they want to talk about that shouldn't be attorney privileges, and that's the debate that they're having right now. So that's what's going on. But you have to see the overreaching aspect that Fani raised, that this is all about racism. Because I shouldn't even be here, she said, and I agree with her. How it doesn't matter when the relationship started, and it doesn't, except for the fact that they say that they put it. How you gonna prove when a relationship started? Somebody see somebody kissing, is that when the relationship started? Or somebody say I'm going with somebody, but that when the relationship started? And the other person may not even was there to confirm it. You see somebody eating dinner together, does that mean that's a relationship, an intimate relationship? Going to dinner? How do you determine when people started an intimate relationship? Other than the people saying when they started it. So that's the struggle that they're in. But most people say, as Mshinda said, and Joe says, the optics that they're questioning. I wouldn't be surprised if the judge ruled that Fani could stay on the case, but he strongly suggests that Wade be someone else become the head prosecutor. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think they're going to kick her off the case. Because if they kick her off the case, the whole office is kicked off the case. And that means an outside prosecutor comes in, and he don't even have to take the case of the court. He could say there ain't enough evidence, or he could drop some of the defendants in the RICO case. He don't have to follow what she put forth. And so that's the challenge. But definitely the case was not going to go to court in the time that she wanted it to. So that's where we at with that. Mshinda, you have anything you want to add that you thought of?
No, I think you covered, like I say, any thoughts that I might have had, you kind of filled in a few gaps that I might have left out. I think you covered it. As far as, it'd be pretty interesting, the outcome, that kind of thing. But I looked at, like I say, several parts, from a legal standpoint. I wanted, trying to understand certain, strategies and things like that, and of course, it was kind of entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, well, see, Georgia law says that you have to show a direct conflict of interest, and they have not been able to do that, according to most legal experts. That it is bad optically, and Donna, whatever her name that comes on Sunday morning, Brazil, and she was against the Million Man March. She's all over the place. She said that it was a bad judgment on her part, and she should step down and let someone else in her office take the case before the judge ruled, so the case will stay in her office and all that type of stuff. But one thing that people have to take under consideration, while this was going on, Israel was invading the last hospital, major hospital in Gaza, destroyed it. 5 people died when they cut off the electricity who were getting emergency treatment or was on ventilators or something. Other people, they arrested about 6 or 7 of the patients, the workers who had nothing to do with it. These were Doctors Without Borders and nurses. They arrested them, detained them, destroyed the hospital from within, looking for Hamas and hostages, they say. Just tore up the place. So the hospital is not even functioning anymore. And so what does this mean? You know, this thing they're putting on TV and the newspaper focusing all that is a diversion from what Israel is doing. And then now they're talking about invading a place where over 1 million Palestinians are, because they send them there and they want to go in there where they are. And most in the United Nations people are saying, you know, don't do it. And there was one white senator in Congress, in the United States Senate, that said Israel's already committed war crimes by starving people, cutting off electricity, bombing churches and schools and hospitals. That had nothing to do with Hamas. And he was strong. This is a white boy that said this. I can't remember his name, but I'm gonna look it up. But the point is that he was very strong, and every international group has said that America is a part of the war crimes because they're providing Israel the resources to commit the genocide. And see, genocide was the Human Rights Convention of 1948 defined what genocide was. And almost every nation signed into it except for the United States. This was in 1948. The United States didn't sign the Human Rights Declaration of defining genocide until 1986. From 1948 to 1986, they refused to sign it, because they were committing genocide all over the place, you know, and so that's very important with regard to that. You know, some things, you know, under the Geneva Convention on genocide, the United States was guilty, so therefore they wouldn't sign it. But getting back to Fani, they just divert people from what's going on in the world. Not only that, at the same time that they were having the hearing, Trump office was getting in his trial of the hush money, was getting fined for over 400-something million. They only played a little bit of that. Now they're playing a lot, but during that trial, during that hearing, you know, you'd think that was the major thing, but the major thing was Trump being fined over 350 million, that went up to 400-some million with interest, and his sons 4 million apiece, both sons, and his accountant got fined $1 million. And you know, he talking about he's gonna appeal and all that. Well, all of them got to appeal, and they got to put up money to appeal and things of this nature. Second, they didn't even pay attention to the fact that it's been almost 2 weeks that they have filed for the Supreme Court to respond to his petition that he has all immunity. And the court has said that he don't, and they haven't responded yet. To this date, they haven't. So this is going on the 3rd week of them sitting on it, rather than ruling, do he have total immunity or not? Now, if he do have total immunity as the president, that means Biden got it right now. So he can order the SEAL team to kill Trump, like, you know, and don't be charged with it. like Trump said he could have done. So anyway, we'll see how this things go. But watch the diversion. White guy's tricky. You know, he focuses on what he thinks you should focus on, not counting the role of the settlers, the Jewish settlers running Palestinians off of their land in the Western Bank and things of this nature, killing them and taking their houses and taking their places, and the white right wing saying publicly that they want Gaza for themselves and they want every Palestinian to get out, and that's a part of the Prime Minister of Israel agenda to get rid of all the Palestinians and occupy it. And the United States is complicit with it by providing them the intelligence. And this thing about fighting in the Red Sea to make sure boats get through, what the Houthis are saying, that, hey, look, these are boats that's bringing weapons to Israel to commit more genocide. And we're after them boats. We ain't after the boats that's bringing stuff to other countries. We're after boats that are bringing weapons, United States boats, and other European boats that are sending support to Israel. And that's who they're after. But they try to act like they're trying to stop international commerce by attacking all boats, but that's not true. So the struggle continues, and it's a challenge for all people to really study and stay up on these things. Why is it important? Because it indirectly affects us. You know, if we can't have selective morality or individual reality. If we for injustice against any people. That's what Martin Luther King said. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so as we fight for our struggle, and as Nelson Mandela said when they told him don't meet with Yasser Arafat, he said, why not? He said, they supported us against apartheid. The Palestinians supported us. The Palestinians supported the Black Power movement and the Black Liberation movement. So why shouldn't we be concerned about what happened to them? Second, you know, it's a human thing to do. If you're for righteousness, you're against all wrongness. And it's wrong for what Israel is doing, no matter how, you know, you can't be so loyal that you excuse people. It's just like your son or daughter go out killing people and you're going to defend them and say, oh, that's okay. You understand, them people was in his way. Like Richard Pryor said, the reason I killed them, they was at home. And so, you know, you got to, you know, you say, hey, look, I still love my child. And I'm going to support my child while he do his time, but he was wrong for killing them people and robbing and stealing. I got to admit that. But that don't mean I'm going to give up on him and not be my son or daughter. We can understand that. But you can't say Israel have the right to defend themselves when they've been occupying and committing genocide against the Palestinians way before Gaza. And that's why they were responding. Their act on Israel was an act of self-defense. Israel been assassinating their leaders in Gaza throughout the year, incarcerating their young people without trials. You understand? And you know, you got to watch the propaganda and the language that they use to justify or what they're doing. As Malcolm always said, they turn the criminal into the victim and the victim into the criminal. So, Rashaki, you have anything to add? You're on mute.
The analysis is great, Professor Rahh. I don't have anything to add.
What about you, Joe? You still?
Well, I told you a long time ago that Gaza was going to end up being beachfront property resorts. For y'all a long time ago.
Yeah.
I want to remind you of something. Like Trump is backing Putin and all the stuff Putin is doing. Is white folks supporting white folks. That Russians, there's a few black Russians still there, but most of them is white, and they
Mm.
support each other. And we better recognize the game that's going on. I remember back in the day when Cuba was supporting Angola, and the government was talking all this stuff about Cuba and the communists supporting them. Well, they was the only one supporting a country in Africa. United States wasn't supporting. It was Castro, and the Cuban military was supporting Angola. This was back in the 70s, I think. So you got to watch what's going on, and plus with the Israeli, in control of the mass media, they got people's minds on everything other than the truth. That's what's going on. Like what Brother Rahh was saying. You look at every commercial now; it's biracial. It's biracial or it's gay. One of I was looking at one today, and there was this wedding, and there was a white girl walking down the aisle with her father, and the piano, the guy playing the music got it all messed up, and this State Farm guy got on the piano and started playing, and the brother standing there to get married. It was a brother standing there waiting to marry this white girl. I was like, when was stuff like this be on TV ever? Than now. So what are we trying to do? Distract us from what's really going on. And that's what they do. When you control the means of communication, that's what you can do. So that's why like knowing the history is so important. And they just repeating the same thing over and over. You know what happened before, you can predict what's coming down the pipe. So
yeah, like Joe said, if you're a naturalist or evolutionist, history is relevant because a part of your evolution as a human is to have a memory. If you're a creationist and you believe that God created people, he created you with a memory. So memory is relevant if you're an evolutionist or if you're a creationist. And that's a part of the anatomy of humans. We like many historians say, an ant in a coconut shell full of water, it looks like a sea to them. Well, when you, as a human in this universe, when you look at the total universe, you look like it's infinite. That don't mean there's a top because you can't get to it. They don't mean it's a bottom because you can't get to it. But it does mean that you're very small in the universe, a tiny speck. And it could be just an evolution of coming out of the water or the ground that brought you into being. And Joe and most naturalists say that's the nature of our being, is to have these energies, but at the same time, other animals are born with their natural instincts and energies. But we are supposed to have more. Just because more don't mean that you're still not a part of the animal world or the evolutionist world, because you can think or feel, because other animals feel for each other. And I mean, it's just a deep situation that you have to deal with as far as understanding life. Just the way things is. That's why TV Vivian said about the Caucasians in the South that was denying them the right to vote. Oh, what kind of people are these? And that's the same thing with we asked that question about Europeans. Why you hate people that ain't done nothing to you? Francis Cress Welsing says because of genetic annihilation. And others say it's because of fear of xenophobia. And they have to build weapons to control and defend and to aggressively maintain it. And right now, people look at America, they never think of the Native American. And that's what Israel is doing with regards to Palestine. If they can wipe them all out and stay there 100 years, then the next generation would think that Gaza was all Israel, as Joe say, beachfront property, and then never mention that the Palestinians was there, like we don't mention the Native Americans were here. So, you know, this has been it. That's how Russia became Russia from the Asia. Asia, they ain't no Europeans born in Asia until Russia took them over. You understand? But as Malcolm said, just because you're born in Asia don't mean that's where you're from. The European come from the Caucasoid Mountains. Everybody know they came out of caves. They even say that they were cavemen. You understand? Where at were you cavemen? You weren't cavemen in Africa, and you weren't cavemen in Asia. You were cavemen in Europe. You understand? Because of the Ice Age and because of Ammonism, and that's, oh, well, anyway, that's a whole different thing. I didn't mean to get sidetracked, y'all, but that's the way it goes. Rashiki, tell us what's going on tomorrow.
All right, I'm gonna show you a nice big picture of it.
Actually, is this guy Pratt?
Yeah. There it is, right there. Black History Month celebrations of distractionary ratchetness.
Ratchetness.
Yep.
I can't wait. I want
So that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
So you ready to take the pause, Professor Rahh?
Of course.
So we're gonna take our pause.
All right.
Each one teach one and Conscious Corner.
All right, brother.
Yeah.